Welcome to the Digital Hospitality Rising Tide LinkedIn Live Call. It's Wednesday. We meet every Wednesday, every Friday, 10 a.m. Pacific Time, p.m. Eastern Time, 6 p.m. London Time, wherever you are in the world. We are your tribe. We believe a rising tide lifts all ships. We believe that no one's coming to tell your story. So you better learn how to use the tools that are in our fingertips, tools like LinkedIn and podcasting and YouTube and Instagram, audio, video, words, images. We have some incredible technology at our fingertips, and if we're willing to share our beliefs, our truths in business, we can find a community of amazing individuals, which we've done here. Started on Clubhouse, now we're on LinkedIn, and if you're listening on the Digital Hospitality feed, we appreciate you. Thank you for listening to the show. Thank you for subscribing. We would love to hear your voice. We want to hear about your business. We want to hear about your big ideas. What are you dreaming of? What are you working on? How can this community help you? So please join us. Follow Cali BBQ Media to do that. We see some people down below. We're going to get you on stage. We're talking about multitasking while I'm leading this call and driving to the restaurant, so it couldn't be more appropriate of a topic. Let's go ahead, get some introductions out of the way. Michael, who are you and what are you working on a Wednesday, and where in the world are you? Go for it.
Yeah, thank you, Sean. Mike Biseglia, Cali BBQ Media. I am in Middletown, New Jersey. I always want to say Edentown, New Jersey, because I took one call multitasking when I had my car brakes that went down. So I had to go take a call, one of our calls from the Toyota dealership. So that was multitasking that day. But I'm in Middletown, New Jersey, working on some great digital hospitality content. And we just put some awesome articles and interviews out with Joe Gallagher of 86 Repairs, and a really cool, inspiring story that I recommend people check out with Kristen Maven as well, who has a great story to tell about her digital hospitality journey.
That is amazing, Michael. It's nice to have those plugs for those amazing guests, because I'm always too busy multitasking to plug our own content. So thank you. We're grateful to have you on the team. Speaking of team members, Gavin, go ahead, introduce yourself. What are you working on a Wednesday? Who are you, and where in the world are you?
Yeah, hi everyone. I'm Gavin. I'm a podcast producer at Cali BBQ Media in Orange County, California. Right now, I'm working on refining our newest podcast, The Legal Lineup with Anthony Zoller. It's going to be focused primarily on California employment law, but we're hoping to branch it out as well. So be on the lookout for that. But yeah, pass it back to you.
Awesome. Appreciate it, Gavin. Thank you. Elizabeth Doss, one of our digital hospitality leaders. Elizabeth and James. James is down below recording for us. Thank you, James. Go ahead, Elizabeth.
Yeah, sure. And Gavin, I'll have to mention it to James because he hasn't worked for the law firm for a little while, but they were the third largest labor and employment law firm in the States and big California side of things. So anyway, he may have some contacts for you for your podcast. So I'll make that connection. Hi, I'm Elizabeth Doss. I am a motion graphic designer. I do illustrations, I do animations, etc. But my main focus is helping brands and businesses get their GIF on, and to create these GIFs that are targeted to build community, to show off thought leadership, all of those wonderful things. We had an amazing event this last weekend. We had 250 people come from all over the country for a spiritual retreat, and it was off the charts fun. And hopefully I'll get some pictures up and just talk a little bit about how wonderful that turned out to be. But I'll hand it back to you, Sean.
Awesome. Thank you. And I don't know if anyone can bring Jason up. Jason, we're trying to bring you up. We see you raising your hand, and we got you up. Fantastic. Stover, go ahead. Introduce yourself, and anybody down below that wants to join us. Summer, Alonzo, Mark, we'd love to hear your voice, love to hear your perspective. But if you're just listening, that's all good. Stover, go for it.
Hey everyone, my name is Stover. I'm Chief Storytelling Officer for Cali BBQ Media. I'm coming to you from Portland, Oregon, here on the beautiful West Coast. And I am currently multitasking inside Notion, our planner, our way we are now tracking all our projects and multiple shows and different platforms and different teammates. So I'm digging through this and making sense of it all, and then I will stop multitasking as soon as I can because I realize my brain doesn't work that way. But we'll get into that more later.
Appreciate it, Stover. Thank you. Dean LeBay, Dynamo Dean, Selling Machine. Go for it, Dean.
My name's Dean LeBay, LA_BAY. I'm talking to you from New Orleans, Louisiana. I'm in the restaurant business as far as equipment, supplies, and stuff like that, and basically just trying to help the independent and small, medium businesses survive. Thanks.
Appreciate you, Dean. Thank you. Richard Liverman from the other side of the pond. Go for it.
Good evening. My name's Richard. I live by a mantra of don't be boring, which manifests itself in many different ways. Branding, coaching, mentoring, love all of it. Working on some really interesting client project work today. But I also have a part-time role as the cultural ambassador to the Digital Hospitality Group. And Sean, I thought I'd give you a bit of a warning if you come to the UK and a young attractive lady comes up to you and tries to kiss you. We don't say kissing in the UK, we say snogging. And you need to avoid being snogged by British women, Sean, because it'll get you in a load of trouble.
Snogging?
Snogging.
How has that never made it to a movie, to a TV show? How is that? Hugh Grant's never said those words. How is this possible?
I think it was in Harry Potter. But
Yeah, you need to watch.
You've never watched
Harry Potter?
I feel like it came up in Harry Potter, yeah.
Okay. Yeah,
you need to, yes.
You've just discovered the depth of my knowledge, my Harry Potter knowledge.
Do you know, this is why I am the cultural ambassador to the digital hospitality community. So if you're in the UK in December and you're under a piece of mistletoe, be careful, you might get snogged.
Well, there it is. We appreciate it, Richard. Thank you. Laura Wilbur, welcome to the stage. Please let us know, who are you? What are you working on a Wednesday, and where in the world are you? Go for it.
Coming to you from North San Diego County, Encinitas, and I'm in the business of showing up for my restaurant clients and bringing friends. And by friends, I mean expense account diners traveling for business. And we have lots of them at DeNova Corporate Dining, where I'm Director of Strategic Partnerships, 21 million corporate card holders and growing. And today I'm working on onboarding some great restaurants in Chicago and in Houston, and also working on fixing a glitch with Adobe Sign. I have a bunch of people trying to complete their agreements and getting error messages, so that's never a good thing. Back to you.
Sorry, inking the deal. Digitally inking the deal needs to happen.
It does. Everything needs to stop for this to get fixed.
Thank you, Laura. We appreciate it. And Earl, welcome. And Pamela, we see you down below. Thank you guys for being here. Please raise your hand if you'd like to join us up on stage. We'd love to hear your story. Team, community, please follow Earl and Pamela and welcome them to the community. Thank you guys for being here. We appreciate it. Mercedes, go for it. Who are you? What are you working on a Wednesday?
Oh man, I'm the master of multitasking. I am a mom of two, work from home mom, and the director of sales and events for the Wood Group, as well as the VP of education and programs for HSMAI. We had an amazing event yesterday, so that was a lot of fun. I'm coming at you from sunny San Diego, and today I am working on getting this restaurant open within 2 weeks. So we are almost there, and I am so excited for the finish line.
Amazing. Congratulations. Thank you, Mercedes. Scott Turner. What's up, Scott? Almost stateside, Scott.
Nearly there. Nearly there.
When are you on the plane?
I fly Sunday morning. I get into San Antonio on Sunday evening. So yeah, looking forward to that. And then heading over to LA on Thursday to spend some time with Troy and Jason, and then obviously coming down to San Diego to hang out. So yeah, super excited. And then today, what have I been sorting? I've been working on some proposals, but I've also been finding a place where the San Diego Whites hang out, so that before I get on the plane on Saturday morning, I can watch Leeds United live on TV. So they're in the Shakespeare pub, Sean, which is near the airport, apparently.
That is the epicenter of football in San Diego.
Yes. So yeah, that's where the Leeds United, that's where the San Diego Whites hang out.
What time do they play?
7 a.m.
Beautiful.
7 a.m. So yeah, sure. That's on Saturday morning, so that should be fun before I fly out. But yeah, I've been working on the keynote. We're going to the Bar and Restaurant Expo next week. We've got 2 talks, one on changing the mindset of hotel food and beverage, the other one on knowing your guests better than ever before. I'm the founder of On Hospitality, and we are rewriting the rules of hotel F&B because we believe every hotel should have exciting food and beverage and be bold. Thank you very much.
I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Did you know that you're going to be in Gaslamp on Halloween?
I didn't know that. No.
Yeah.
No, I haven't worked out.
You will be in Gaslamp. So what are you wearing in Gaslamp? You didn't pack a costume, did you?
Leeds United jersey. That'll scare anybody.
A jumper.
A jumper.
A jumper. Yeah. I'll sort something out. If I haven't got a costume, I'm not going to fit in, right?
No, you'll fit in just fine.
Okay,
you couldn't have come on a better night to observe hospitality in Gaslamp, San Diego than Halloween.
Perfect. Okay. My mum always said I had a face for radio, so I'll probably fit in just well.
If my wife and I didn't have kids, we would be joining you in Gaslamp. But
awesome.
Our Halloween is all taken. It's all taken. We've got tasks to do. Eric Farrell, go for it.
Oh man, I wish I were going to that bar and restaurant expo, but sadly I am not. I am Eric Farrell. You can find me at thewordkitchen.com. I'm the ghostwriter for the hospitality industry. That's ever-changing and growing. What am I working on today? A pile of things, some things I'm behind on for a client, and I'm really excited today because I may have to leave the call early, but we have our first appointment today for my wife, who, for those of you that didn't know, is pregnant with our 4th kid, and I think I get to hear the heartbeat today for the first time. I'm really stoked about that, so that'll be fun.
That is beautiful. Thank you for sharing that with the community. Congratulations. That's awesome. Jason E. Brooks, back in the house, back on stage. Jason's been a traveling man. What's up, my friend? Go for it.
Oh, Sean, what is the word? As I travel, I swear I see your peoples everywhere, meaning people in the digital hospitality community, whether they're rocking a baseball cap or not. They are out there. They are alive and kicking butt. Jason Brooks, professional speaker, author, and restaurant coach out here in Charlotte, North Carolina, where things have normalized. And today I am actually working on, and have been working on for the past few weeks, building my own community, the manager, leader, coach community, in order to help restaurant owners create high performance teams so that they can scale their profitability in 90 days or less. So been working on that, getting everything lined up, all of the content for it based on my book. And like everyone has said, it is multitasking. And I don't even know, which we'll get to this here soon, but I don't know if we can really keep calling it multitasking, because no one really solo task, meaning work on just one thing. But we'll get to that once we get to that. But a pleasure to be here with you all.
Love it when you can join us, Jason. Thank you. Alonzo, welcome to the community. Welcome to the stage. Are you able to unmute and give us an introduction? Who are you? What are you working on a Wednesday, and where in the world are you? Go for it.
Yes, hello. My name's Alonzo. As you mentioned, I work with my partner, Sujoy Olakol, to build GM Pilot. GM Pilot acts as a user. It works with a restaurant's existing scheduling software to take over writing schedules for GMs. So we're actually reducing the number of tasks for maybe the ultimate multitasker, restaurant managers. And we just put together a partnership with Ink Tank GTM. The guys, Michael Beck and Chad Horn over there, recommended that I join this group today. They said that you guys are tackling some very interesting topics. So happy to be here, calling from Laguna Beach, California.
Amazing. Alonzo, welcome to the community. Obviously, Michael Beck, Chad Horn, they're parts of our digital hospitality rising tide. Beck is actually on his way to Cali Barbecue today to meet with Kyle from our Cali Barbecue media team and myself, film some content, talk about big plans for the big future. But really happy that you're here, Alonzo. I hope you keep joining us. We meet every Wednesday, every Friday, and we love it when we have new people that come and share what you're working on. We believe in building in public. There's a lot of people tackling some really cool things, and if we're willing to share, that's how community is built. And we've got people all over the globe now that we can connect with. So thanks for being here, Alonzo. All right, today, multitasking strategies. So,
Hey, Sean.
Hey, Dean, what's up?
Jason Berkowitz.
Oh, he just snuck right in. Jason Berkowitz, you found the link to the room. Oh, now we lost Jason. See, you called him out, and then do you see him still, or did he leave?
No, he left. You
if you don't get him away, Dean.
Probably so. It's been catching lately. Thanks.
You're all good, Dean. When Jason comes back, he can introduce herself. Chad, I see you. If you're able to join us on stage, please raise your hand. Part of the Inc. GTM team. And I'm going to be seeing Beck very soon. So, Chad, if you can join us on stage, raise your hand. If not, and you're just listening, all good. Welcome. Today, we're going to talk about multitasking strategies. You guys, when it's your turn, you can share whatever you would like that would benefit the group. How do you approach multitasking? Do you consider, is it possible to do deep work and to work on only one thing? Is it possible to prune the tree and just focus on the big idea versus, if I get all these 5 things done, well, what if instead of doing 5, what if we did 1? And for me, that doesn't happen. So obviously, you guys know we own Cali Barbecue, and Cali Barbecue Media. We're trying to build something disruptive, something beneficial, not just for our business, but for every small business and big business out there. I mean, the deep belief in this community is that if you have the courage to speak on the internet, you can find really cool people and you can do really cool things. That's proven time and time again with our willingness to multitask, our willingness to believe in the distribution of the internet. When you think about how this community started on Clubhouse as an audio-only meetup during the pandemic, the idea was really just to have our Cali Barbecue Media team calls online. So what were we working on? What were we trying to accomplish? Was anyone else trying to learn how to tell better stories on the internet? Was anyone else trying to be a better podcaster? Was anyone else trying to make better YouTube videos? Was anyone else trying to do Instagram better? And when you think of like multitasking, I think for me personally, the best way that I tackle multitasking is do it now. Not later, but do it now. And I don't know, that's probably one of my greatest strengths and probably one of my greatest weaknesses. I'll let Stover and my new team members weigh in on that. But if I don't do it now, I'll forget about it. Like, I'm really not good at, we have too many things going on. We have too many shows that we're producing, too much content, too many partners that we're working with, clients that we're working with, things that we're trying to do locally in San Diego, things that we're trying to do for Toast, things we're trying to do for events, that if I don't do it now, meaning take the screenshot, text it, send it on Slack, put it on Notion, then all of a sudden I will live in notification hell. I don't know if I believe in inbox zero, but I definitely try to have a clear notification on all of my apps. Considering I log into Instagram, I log into LinkedIn, I logged into my email, the amount of text messages, just group text messages that I get now on a daily basis. If I go, like yesterday, I was at MeerTech here at the Fairmont and at the Grand Del Mar, beautiful resort. Super excited that MeerTech Restaurant Technology Network decided to host their event here in San Diego. I hope that more restaurants and more technology companies host events here. But when I was on stage, obviously I don't have my phone. So if I don't have my phone, all of those emails, all of those texts, all of those notifications in Slack, all of those notifications, they all just pile up. And then I go and I drive and I'm not doing those multitasking till I get home. And when I get home, I see my wife and I see my kids. And then all of a sudden I've gone a whole day, which is why work travel is very difficult, because work continues even when you travel, for those that know about work travel and going to conferences and going to shows. But yeah, my tip for the room is not only to do it now, but I wish I could share who told me this or where I heard it if it was on a podcast. But I remember somebody sharing a story about how much they cared about their digital communication, meaning their text messages, their emails, that they wanted to do it in a professional manner. And I know this might make Stover cringe, but he knows because he receives all my digital communication. I don't capitalize typically, and I don't punctuate, and I will misspell things. But I try to get to the heart of what needs to happen with the communication. And sometimes I don't do a good job. I wish I did a better job of adding context to why I'm sending Stover something, or why I'm sending my team something. But sometimes the information is valuable. I want someone to have it. So I will send it without capitalizing, without punctuating, without making sure that the words are spelled correctly. But I remember this person sharing that they made a switch to communicating that way because it was more, the volume of communication that they have to have on multiple channels was increasing with such frequency that they didn't think it was beneficial to slow them down to make sure that that stuff was correct. Now, I'm not saying that, published content, obviously the work that we publish on entrepreneur.com, we want to make sure that it is the best possible. But for internal communication and things that need getting shit done, which I consider multitasking, that was one hack that I said, I don't care if my friends from elementary school and high school and college, like if they think that I don't know how to capitalize something, like I went to school with them, so they can blame our teachers and our professors, but they know what I'm communicating. And it's actually a good way to know if someone's hacked my account because you won't see that type of language. So, all right, I'll pass it on. Michael, go for it.
Yeah, no, thank you, Sean. And yeah, doing things right away. That is something my wife has instilled with me with stuff like taxes, because that's typically the things I'm like, let's push it off. And it's like, nope, you're glad you did it right away. Multitasking, I think about it, I kind of like try to digest what it means to me. I personally, based on the kind of work that I do and I've always done, it's been incredibly difficult to do two things at the same time when you're listening back to audio, editing audio, looking at videos. Like for my head, I'm like, I don't know how I could successfully review something in audio and then at the same time be reading or writing things. That has been something for me that is a challenge. I guess depending on the level of the uh, kind of feedback needs to be given in or listening session can change that, but that's always been challenging for me. What I do like in some of the strategies that have worked for me, especially multitasking, is I need to each day essentially write down the night before. Let's say I have 7 things that need to get done the next day. I will write them out and put a number next to them, 1, 2, 3, 4, etc., to know what priorities are. And that helps me then when I get into the nitty gritty of the next day and I have to swiftly pivot back and forth and multitask to know what's my priorities, where I need to go, and use that as a guide, which has been a lifesaver for me. And just using my knowledge of this is due on this day, this has X amount of work, and then making the right decisions. The writing it down method and knowing how I can multitask and pivot has been great. And also, I set 25-minute timers so that I'd get 25 straight minutes of hard work, take a break, look at where things are. Do I need to pivot to something else? Do some work there, or 25 minutes of work, take a 5-minute break. Where do I need to go next? And those two methods have helped me with a lot of work on my plate to multitask in the directions that I need to go. But then as far as doing 2 things at once, that has definitely been a challenge for me in the audio space.
Appreciate it, Mike. Thank you. Gavin, you got a tip, story?
Yeah, I think piggybacking off what Michael said, like building a priority list to start your day is about the most important thing I think anyone can do. It's kind of like you can't hit a target you can't see. So you got to know what success looks like, not just overall, but like for that day's work. So I just think of it as laying everything out in front of you. On like specifically, I think a second monitor is incredibly helpful, and honestly, any any line of work you're in. I think if you're able to, like, if you have to reference a document and keep having to switch tabs and all that stuff, you can just have it on another monitor and then work from the main one you're on. That's huge for me. It's been massive when I'm, editing a podcast, but also having to look at a script or anything that notes that I have that need to be taken care of. Project management tools, Stover mentioned Notion. In my past, I've worked with Asana, which is just great. And what I also like about it is it gives you that little feeling of accomplishment when you get to move a project to the next stage. I'm sure a lot of gamers can relate to that, but project management tools, keeping everything organized, those are the biggest things. And then my last thing I would say is use a template. Like, if you can go back, if you can continue a project from the middle point instead of starting from scratch, that'll just speed up that productivity a lot more and be able to work on multiple things and keep track of what you're doing, but you're not going to have to start from scratch.
That's awesome. Great tips. Thank you, Gavin. Elizabeth Das.
Yes, currently multitasking. No, I'm just kidding. I can't think of the word. Oh my goodness, it's my brain is on meltdown mode. But no, I was thinking about my great grandmother. Her name was Utaka. She was a nurse, and in the later years of her life, she did a lot of hospice care and stuff like that. But she was the ultimate multitasker in her 80s. And she told us, I only have a little bit of time left, so I've got to do all these things. So girlfriend would get on her riding bicycle. She would have the news playing on the television, but her radio programs playing on the radio while she's knitting, and she has the newspaper in front of her. So she would do this whole crazy thing, and she traveled a lot after she'd retired and stuff, but she was the best and hilarious. But I always think of her whenever someone says multitasking. I'm like, you don't even know what multitasking is until you've met Utaka Mullins. I just need everyone to know that. Okay. So one thing I've learned about myself is I used to think I was awesome at multitasking, but it was always turned into a train wreck. And so I have figured out pretty quick that I need to be clear. But for me, I kind of took on the, I think James Clear has written a book called Atomic Habits. And when I first read the title, I thought it meant like you're blowing everything up, which actually was fairly accurate, I think, for me. But no, he was talking about breaking down your tasks to the atomic level. So when people are talking about creating their task lists, sometimes personally, in my mind, I get overwhelmed just writing the project on there. But if I can break it down to its smallest common denominator, to like the 2-minute step or the 5-minute step, it actually helps me process through what I have to do a lot quicker. So I'm not overwhelmed because, as a habitual procrastinator, I think that I get in that place where I just get overwhelmed with the idea of the whole project. But when I can look at it in these small bite sizes, I have time. I have time for that small bite size. So that's one part. Then the other thing for me is the to-do list instead of the to-do list, because I forget to write to-do lists half the time. But it is also still very much you feel accomplished, because I don't know if it was Michael or Gavin that was saying this. You feel accomplished when you can write down the to-dos. Like, I already did this, ta-da, and then I can mark it off the list because I had forgotten to write it on the to-do to begin with. And then you could add the to-do to it, and it all becomes ta-da. So anyway, those are my thoughts. I'll hand it back to you.
That is hilarious. I actually have a to-do. Like, to-do is almost a form of journaling for me. I used to do a really good job of keeping like a written calendar in school, but it would be a way for me to go back and write down what I did do, which is I've never heard of a to-do list. Awesome, Elizabeth. Stover.
Yeah, I was doing some reading about executive function and multitasking during this meeting here, and I found an article here on the. I want to make sure it's legit. American Psychological Association. It is legit. So apparently, when you're trying to multitask, you're switching between two different things in your brain, and it slows you down by about 40%, they say. And really what it comes down to is you need to shift between your goals when you change between tasks in your brain, and these happen subconsciously. Let's say you're doing one thing like riding a bike, and then you need to stop and look the other direction. You have to stop thinking about riding the bike for a second and look behind you. The other thing that happens in your brain is called rule activation, where you have to stop the rules for that one thing that you're doing and do it for the other. So simultaneously, your brain is doing two things, whether you know it or not. And what ends up happening is these little switches just slow you down like a computer. And you've noticed if you have a computer, no matter how powerful it is, if you have a million windows open, it starts to creak. Everything starts to be really slow. And the brain is a lot like that. And I really, really think, as much as we believe when we're younger that we can do so many things at once, we really can't. We're good at switching between tasks, but that only makes things slower. So I really need these moments in my day that I'm building in where I can focus on one thing and get that one thing done. And then there are times in my day, like now, where I'm doing multiple things at once because I'm trying to get to where I'm going to focus. So, no matter how much we tell ourselves we can multitask, it's really important to know your brain can't. Your brain literally has to stop thinking about what it's doing and switch to something else. So just a reminder.
Yeah, there's also I just heard on a podcast someone talking about letting the little fires burn, like especially in restaurants. When we talk about, managers of restaurants, like all we do is react to little fires burning. But if we prioritize the one big thing, the thing that we don't want to do, like the work that we are avoiding, that one big task, if we do deep work on that one big task, those little fires, they seem to disappear, which is...
I talked to a therapist, Sean, and they shared something with me that actually was useful. Maybe not worth the $140 it cost in that session to learn, but but the idea of juggling tasks, it's really hard when you become a parent like I have and have a job and work from home and have to do all this stuff. Switching between things is, of course, like we're talking about, hard. So how do you prioritize those tasks? You picture that you're juggling a bunch of balls, but not all the balls are made from the same material. A few of those balls are made from glass. You know if you drop those balls, they're going to smash and break. However, some of those balls are made out of rubber. You can drop those and they'll continually bounce for a little bit. Eventually, they'll stop and roll away. But you can drop them for a little bit and they'll be fine. But if you drop those glass balls, everything shatters, you get cut, you go to the hospital. It's really important when you're juggling to remember what those glass balls are. Keep those safe while you let the other ones continually bounce. Does that make sense? I mean, I really thought that was insightful, and that does help me when I'm feeling overwhelmed.
That is very insightful. Awesome. Jason Berkowitz, take 60 seconds and introduce yourself for those that might be listening to the Digital Hospitality feed that don't know who Jason Berkowitz is, and then give us a story or something you'd like to share on multitasking.
Jason Berkowitz, longtime restaurant operator, partner, founder of Arrow Up Training. We help restaurants satisfy compliance and develop supervisors into leaders that build safer and stronger teams. Excited to be here. Popping in and out, apologies, as I'm working through multitasking of an opportunity that fell in my lap to be available. And, my contribution to this discussion, if you go to my Calendly, where I share it, which, by the way, is fantastic way to multitask, because why don't you limit the back and forths 5 emails of when can we talk, just share a Calendly link. So shave off the mundane to give you more time. If you go to my Calendly, you'll see that the first option is 10:30 in the morning, California time. And the reason that is, except of course on Wednesday and Friday where it's 11:30 after this call, is because I learned a long time ago to manage my energy over my time. And by doing so, I protect the morning so that I can multitask and put focus on things that I want to give the most energy to, because the end result. Then later in the day are a bit of more of the mundane things that I want to make sure they get knocked off the list. But even if I'm walking through the mud with like 100-pound weights on my boots, it feels like I can do this task and get it done somewhat mindlessly or annoyingly with a little background music or something. So my contribution on multitasking is manage your energy. And I'm a big fan. I've heard you talk and the mention of deep work, 100%. It makes sense. And Stover, I absolutely love that analogy of the glass balls and rubber. I think something that we have to note is I learned a long time ago as an operator to divide what's urgent and what's important to get it done with limited hours in the day. What we have to be careful though, things that we think are rubber balls and are important can become urgent. So we almost have to have this like middle ground where we see they're starting to creep up and knock them off our plate. That's my contribution to multitasking. This is great.
Jason, phenomenal share. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being part of the community. Dean LeBay, go for it.
Well, I'm not a real good multitasker, I don't think. Now, 7 years ago, before that, I used to multitask and I thought I was taking care of my business, and I really wouldn't take care of my business, which my business was my home life. So I stayed busy all the time, whatever. But since then, as far as multitasking, I'm pretty, I take care of whatever's right in front of me. I look at the priority. If somebody's got to have a quote, I jump on it and get it over with. But I don't think I can contribute a lot to this. I just basically, whatever's in front of me, I try to clean my plate and move on to the next one. And priority takes over depending on the customer or depending on what's in front of me. Thanks.
Thank you, Dean. Appreciate it. Richard Liverman, multitasking.
Yeah, it's a great conversation. I've sent a couple of people the Eisenhower matrix, well worth looking up. It's how to split out tasks into do, schedule, delegate, and delete. It's a brilliant, simple tool to use. I think this whole concept that we need to be great multitaskers is actually something that, I agree with what was said earlier. It actually goes against human nature. And what was really interesting is I had this battle. I'm ADHD. I have so many tabs open, it's unreal on my Explorer. But there is the idea of mindfulness, and we've talked about it a couple of times, but there's this really nice idea that when you're doing something, you're doing it and you're really, really present. And I always think to myself, if I'm with a client, I am with a client. I'm not thinking about what I need to do. I'm not thinking about what I'm going to do. I am with that client in that moment. And I think there's something where, to use a sports analogy, if you think about baseball, you might be thinking about, like, you've got to be in the moment for when that ball comes at you, or if you're playing cricket, the same. And I think there's this idea that, we should be good at doing lots of different tasks at once. I think it's really, really dangerous. And, go back 30 years ago, there were people on the freeway or motorway who were smoking, having a coffee, and on their cell phone or mobile phone whilst driving. It's dangerous. And I think it's a really good analogy. So often we're on autopilot and it's dangerous. There is a little bit where, how can we make ourselves present? And I think what's really interesting when you look at something like mindfulness, they teach you skills in order to be present. Yet we've taught ourselves how not to be present, how not to be in the moment. How many times have we been, watching a show on TV and we've got our mobile phone and the kids are there and we're not concentrating on anything? And I think there's a little bit of a challenge that I set to everybody. How can you get away from multitasking and really focus on one task and doing it really, really well? And that idea of being present. That's not to say I don't multitask. My gosh, yes, I do. I have no choice. But when I'm with a client, I'm present. When I'm doing certain tasks, I'm present. Even when I'm driving, I try and be as present as possible. Yes, I might have music on, but I am got my hands on the wheel and on my gear stick. And that's sort of my attitude to work and life. How can we be more present? And to finish off, a wonderful quote from Master Ugwai, a very wise person, who said, yesterday's history, tomorrow's a mystery, today is a gift, that's why it's called the present. Kung Fu Panda for the win.
Beautiful quote. One of my favorites. Being present. Yes. That was awesome, Richard. Laura Wilbur, multitasking.
So good, Richard. And you have helped me kind of reduce the multitasking that has become such a part of the way that I run my days. Part of it is that I'm always wanting to have fun at whatever I'm doing. And one way that I feel okay about multitasking is the walk and talk meeting, or even, if you want to catch up with a friend, going for a walk together, ideally, but even remotely. So anything that doesn't require you to sit down and write or look at a screen, can you do that just on the phone together? That way you're getting fresh air, you're, moving your body a little bit, and having a great conversation. But through the mindfulness practice that I've been working on, that too goes against being present in the moment. Of you can do a walking meditation where you're thinking of nothing else other than the act of walking, and your senses are really heightened, and all of a sudden you're noticing the plant life and the different sounds of the birds, and just the most simple things that you miss when you're thinking about something else or doing something else, even like talking on the phone. So like you, Richard, the place that I can get the most focused and in the present moment is when I'm having a conversation with a client, and particularly presenting. Nothing else enters my mind at all. I'm so kind of locked in that conversation, getting to know them, understanding their business needs. And if I could be, busy doing that all day at work, that would be what would recharge my battery and bring me the most joy. So I love to be focused. It's just not always easy to get into that zone if I don't think it's going to be fun, or I'm not having fun while I'm doing said task.
My favorite part of that was everything you said, but I just need to call out. You said, and hear the sounds of the birds. And then your dog in the background was like, no. You got to
listen to me.
I got to speak up. You got to listen to me. So
exactly.
Your dog was very much present and focused. There you go.
She is. She was like, why are you sitting down and talking on the phone and not playing with me?
All brilliant contributions.
Thank you, Jason.
That was great, Laura. Thank you. Mercedes.
Oh my God. Are we not allowed to multitask in restaurants? I'm unsure.
How do you focus? I mean, head on a swivel. I think head on a swivel is something that I first heard in football, and that's American football, Richard and Scott. But being a linebacker and having your head, knowing that the play is happening, but there's also other things happening around you. It's something that, as a server, general manager, working on the floor of a restaurant, as much as you want to focus on the guest in front of you, if some fire, a major fire is burning, you kind of need to know what's going on there too, right?
Oh my God, that is the best analogy, and it makes so much sense of why I was really good when I used to bartend and waitress, because I was a pitcher in softball growing up. I went to college ball, and I have always been a multitasker in a sense of I was going to college for my business degree, playing softball on the field, working 3 jobs outside of that, one of them being an assistant general manager at a restaurant. And when I tell you, I literally probably looked like I got hit by a train every day. I probably look like I got hit by a train every day. But I thought that was hard. And then I had kids. And then, COVID happened and you couldn't afford childcare. And I started working from home with my kids, and multitasking is to another level when you work from home with one child. And then I brought in my second child and I worked from home with both children, and that was a challenge. But multitasking for me specifically is interesting because I'm a very organized person. So I do believe in the zero emails in the inbox. And when it gets past 10 emails in my inbox, I have severe anxiety. So there is that battle of it. I think it's almost a sickness to be this much of a perfectionist when it comes to multitasking. And I have a real problem of trying to be like, it's okay if you have 15 emails in your inbox. But I think what it is I don't like feeling like I'm drowning. And if I don't do certain tasks to make sure I'm not drowning, it's kind of like what you were saying earlier, Sean, about like the group chats. Like all restaurants, I think, have 100 group chats at this point. And it's infuriating, and I hate it, to be honest. I wish we could all just get on one platform and
it's not only multiple group chats, it's like multiple platforms.
Yeah. I'm like, can we just all get on one thing and keep it in one place? But yeah, so multitasking is interesting. I think the best thing that you can do is just organizing what you're doing. So like right now, what I've been doing for our team, and it's really helped us. Like this is the first opening that we're actually going to get done on a timely matter. Is I've organized everybody's thoughts and then put action items to be completed and then assigned them to people. And it's like all in a Google document that I saved to everybody's phones like an app. And it's just like really helped with like just like giving a clearer picture. And I think that's what multitasking is like you have to have a clear picture of what you need to get done. And then you're gonna have to do all the branches of the tree essentially underneath that clearer picture. But yeah, I definitely have some like ADHD tendencies and have as many tabs as like 25 plus open right now. So I love this conversation. I love everybody talking about, just trying to calm it down and like tune in. That's why I do my Saturday skates, because I just need to live in peace and quiet, which peace and quiet to me is listening to a podcast. So that just tells you how much I need to have different things going on at all times.
That's awesome. Thank you, Mercedes. Scott Turner, what is your strategy for multitasking?
Yeah, I think I've shared on here before. When we were working in the investment business, we had a really high performing team. We were smashing it, and then we got one too many things put onto our plate because we were high performing and we were smashing projects out of the park, that we ended up just having a huge element of defocus. So I'm always really cautious about how many things one person or one team can take on before it starts impacting quality. So I think what we did in that situation to get out of it is something that we still run now with Auden. Is you guys use Notion, we use Asana, but everything is templated in Asana. So we try and systemize as much as possible every service or process that we do. So whether that's concept development, project development, pre-openings, SOP projects, wherever it might be, we have a template for everything. And the minute we get a job that comes on or a project that comes on, that template gets created into a project and we start systemizing that project through. So we have automatic days on it. We know exactly how many tasks we should do in certain days. And we hold ourselves accountable to that Asana list every week when we do our project meetings on a Monday. And that's the thing that really drives us. So I think that's my first thing. I think having sight of what's going on across all your tasks is the only way to try and keep everything under control. Otherwise, things get forgotten and things go. And then personally, I don't use Asana, or we try to use Notion personally. I just find sometimes the reminders app on your iPhone, notes in your notes app is really valuable tool, and it's there. So I just have running reminders in my phone under each individual client, under each individual task, and then I diarize everything. So when I've got tasks coming in through Asana, I've got it hooked up to my Outlook. And when I've got reminders due, I then put it into my diary, and I constantly have different things telling me when things should be done, because otherwise I just get on to the next project, or I get into something and I just forget something's there. So I think trying to systemize as many tasks as possible just keeps you under control. And I think that's, again, on our Asana, we have a dashboard that tells us how many tasks each person is going to do the following week. So we have a red flag system in terms of when we start seeing someone's getting too many tasks at once. In our project meeting on a Monday, we can then divide it out through the rest of the team, or we can push priorities back. So that dashboard is something that we review as a team every single week to make sure people aren't getting overwhelmed, because I learned a really valuable lesson when we got too many tasks on, that actually when you think you're high performing, that can come crashing down quite quickly if too many things get put on your plate.
Amazing. Great insights. We tried Asana. Unfortunately, I was probably the reason Asana didn't work. I'm trying to do a better job with Notion, but our team is doing really well. I don't know. I'm not going to speak on behalf of Gavin or Mike or Stover, but at least the play sheets seem to have migrated very well from Google over to Notion, which obviously was a big concern given the volume of content that we're putting out there. Let's see here. Eric Farrell. Are you still with us? Or are you off?
Nope, I'm back.
Beautiful.
I'm very guilty of multitasking way too much, and it's been a problem for many, many, many years. I don't think it's because I have some sort of undiagnosed ADHD or some aspect of that. I think for me, it comes from the scarcity mindset of I don't have enough time and I've got too many things to do and I have no margin for error and I have to do all the things all the time. And that's a terrible idea and it's not working. And I haven't seemed to woken up from that realization, like it's not working. I have so many funny examples of multitasking. I struggled to pick even one of them, but I'll skip over some of those. For right now, my task, my goal is, and I've got some real accountability buddies that are beating this one. I got to narrow things down. I have to stop thinking that there's not enough time and stop doing so many things at once, because the stats that Stover gave earlier that your functionality is limited by like 40%. Yikes. That's scary. At the very least, do you want to tell a client, hey, I'm 40% less good at this because I'm going to do several other things at once. Are you cool with that? No, we can't have that. I was multitasking at the beginning of this call. I'm on my laptop right now. I had my other desktop up and running. I was updating some software and changing some things and moving files around. And I missed a couple of things in this call, and I realized that, and I stopped. So now my goal is get better systems. Notion is one of them. Narrow my focus. The thing that is the most important, and do only that. And stop panicking, like you said earlier, Sean. When other fires are burning, let the fires burn. It will be okay in the end, and you just got to get down to the most important thing. This is another one of those calls where I've learned a lot more than I've contributed. So thank you guys.
Appreciate it, Eric. Thank you. Alonzo, welcome to the community. Happy that you're here. Happy that Michael and Chad sent you here. Please tell us, what are your thoughts on multitasking strategies personally? What do you do? Alonzo, sometimes LinkedIn acts a little bit funny. I don't know if you're on a laptop or on your mobile, but sometimes if you go out of the room and come back in, we can bring you back up on stage. We would love to hear what you have to say. Thank you for being here. Chad Horn, do a quick intro for the people listening that don't know who you are.
Hey, everybody. Chad Horn, long-time restaurant technology partnerships guy and just technologist in general. Love this industry. And with Michael Beck, co-founder of Think GTM, we help restaurant tech companies in their go-to-market strategies. One of which is Alonzo, who I'm sure will be back. But this topic, of all your topics, Sean, this might be my favorite. I've taken something from everybody and agree with something everybody's had to say. But Richard, I think you were the first to really hone in on the fact that multitasking doesn't work in the traditional way people think about it. I'm a big believer in that as well. And so, like many of you have said, focus, right? Focus on what you're doing. That said, there are productivity, strategies that work. But when I think of multitasking, Sean, I think about what you shared with me like a week or two ago. It's like the people that you have on your podcast, you are learning from, right? So you are actually doing two things at once. You are building content and learning. And so that's what I look for in my life when it comes to multitasking. Laura, you shared walk and talks. That's one of my favorites. So whether it's going for a walk, exercising, cleaning around the house, I am also almost always listening to a podcast, audiobook, or something on a call. It's so big. And so there's certain kinds of activities that you can legit do at the same time. And so whether it's like combining a physical and mental task, something that's just routine, right? And with some, that you can combine something else into some passive learning, creative thinking. When one thing, like if I need to just do some straight thinking on a topic, that's something that's really good to pair with like a walk as well. But that's what's worked for me. But the bigger thing is just, not buying into the multitasking myth. It doesn't work for the most part.
That's great. Always grateful to have you here, Chad. Hope you and Michael keep joining us. Grateful to have you guys part of the community. Jason E. Brooks.
All right.
Go for it.
So first, love the list. Lists, absolutely. That always works. Love the second monitor, and I have 3, to be quite honest. 2 big ones, and then the actual laptop. And then love the ta-da list. Ta-da! Girl, you are on fire. Speaking of fires, I always speak with all of my clients about fires, especially within the restaurant business, because in the restaurant business, as you all are aware, we are trained to put out fires. As soon as we smell smoke, as soon as we see a spark, we are like the Terminator, eyeballs, 20 feet out, 20 feet wide, scanning the kitchen, scanning the dining room, scanning the parking lot, looking for the next fire like a Terminator. Soon as that thing sparks, we pull out the fire hose from our hip and start dousing that mug. I mean, dousing it. But the thing is, when it comes down to a building being on fire, when you're putting out a fire and you're the one that's holding the hose, 1, you have to concentrate on holding that hose. 2, like any building on fire, you can't see what's going on from the left, from the right, or from the rear. So although we are excellent firemen and firewomen, we need to start fire chiefing. Fire chiefing is when we teach others to put out that fire for us, to teach others to look for that fire so we can assess the whole building, the whole business from a total view, and then send other firemen and firewomen to then get the left side, right side, or the rear as it sparks. So let's stop being excellent firemen and firewomen and let's start fire chiefing. So what I tend to do when I'm talking to attendees, conferences, clients about being a fire chief is how to delegate. It's how to delegate and how to follow up. The first thing is whenever we delegate, we think we are the only one that knows how to do something or how to do something well. We have this strange history within our mind, this crazy memory that forever we've done that task or tasks perfectly. On our way from the bottom all the way to the top. We've done this. We've never made a mistake. And the moment someone messes up, we yank that thing back like, see, I told you so. I should have never given you this. I have to do it so that it's done right. But delegation is one of the keys to multitasking and then the follow-up. On the other piece, when it comes down to truly delegating, it's not just delegating things at work. It's delegating things at home. Because when we delegate, we are buying ourselves more time back to focus on what's important. So whenever we talk about multitasking, it isn't just about getting more things done, knocking out more that's on the list, whether it be for work or not. It is about how do I buy back more time so I can really focus on the other things that are more important, like putting the numbers down in order on what's more important or less. So delegating helps to do that, whether you're leaning on your brother, sister, cousin, husband, wife, boyfriend, girlfriend, it doesn't matter. That is going to help you truly buy back more time to multitask. Last piece, I promise. Last piece. we take multitasking to the extreme. We as human beings, that's what the hell we do. We find something and we just try to stretch that shit out until it can't stretch no more. We'll get a TV that's perfectly good at 45 inches and we will go 90 inches as soon as we can. It's crazy how we always try to expand things as much as possible. Take walking and talking, multitasking. Well, now we are like that wonderful grandmother watching TV, listening to radio, knitting, reading a newspaper, and probably feeding the cat and dog and boiling a stew all at the same time. We have to try our best to not go extreme, to keep the guardrails on multitasking. Multitasking is common. It is something that we do. It is basically taking a large project and creating multiple tasks, working on a task, finishing that task, and then possibly working on a different task of a different project during a different part of the day. That's what multitasking is. Let's not go extreme and have too many tasks going on, because now it tends to open the window for dropping that glass ball instead of one of the rubber ones. That's all I got. Thanks.
Fire Chiefs, Jason Brooks, bringing the fire and bringing down the fire by talking about leadership and delegation. I actually ran into Jeff Alexander, the CEO of WowBow at MirTech, and him and we made a video about something that we discussed when we first had the welcome reception. We were making a joke about restaurant management and these key moments in restaurant management where you spend all of your time trying to acquire keys, and you, as a restaurant manager, somehow you have keys to the front door, keys to the back door, keys to the safe, keys to everything. And then there's this magical moment that we don't talk about enough where you get out of your own way and you delegate keys to someone else. So you're no longer the one with keys. Like, the big joke is like, I can't get into my own restaurant anymore, which is a great problem to have. And I have no access to anything, which is a great problem to have. But it took me a long time to get there. And hopefully we can have more conversations about delegation, leadership, key moments in management. But thank you, Jason. Appreciate that. Alonzo, multitasking strategies.
Try it one more time. Can you hear me?
We can hear you loud and clear. Go for it.
Yeah, I probably empathize the most with Mercedes. I came from operations, and the way it was described to me by a mentor was that running a restaurant is orchestrated chaos. And that's kind of been my theme for a lot of what I've done, even after I left working inside the restaurants. But I've tried hard to reduce the amount of chaos. I'm always looking for hacks, so this was very helpful for me. I got some free therapy from Stover, so I really appreciate it. I rely a lot on technology. I mean, it's core to what we do at GM Pilot. We want to remove tasks. So, I hear a lot about that here. Is like, can we just get rid of tasks using technology so that you can focus on the things that are more important? And I do that a lot in my regular life. I would also offer up one of the things that kind of changed my thought process was when I read a book called The 4-Hour Workweek by Tim Ferriss. On the surface, you're like, that's impossible. But, a lot of it was very relevant to what's coming up here today, which is about focus and doing the things that you're truly passionate about, things that you're very good at, and finding ways to automate those things and outsource those tasks that you either don't want to do or you aren't very good at. So that book really changed my life. Totally love Atomic Habits, love that call out, and I love the Eisenhower Matrix because I use that in conjunction with just the To-Do app at Microsoft provides. And so I just throw a data dump into that app, and then I can prioritize those tasks depending on what I'm trying to get accomplished. So thanks to this team, this was very helpful for me.
Amazing. Thank you, Alonzo, for joining us. We hope you keep coming back. Let's go ahead and do tip, takeaway, homework assignment. Mike, kick us off.
Yeah, absolutely. And first thing, thanks everybody for coming. And if anybody wants to host, please feel free to send me a DM. If there's a topic, idea, something that you can relate to, you think the rest of the group would be interested in hearing, don't hesitate to send me a DM. Would love to hear from you. Also, just to make sure to share the link with any friends or colleagues as you go into the Wednesdays and Fridays at 10 Pacific. If there's somebody you think could really benefit from this, go ahead and make sure to send them the link. Stover, thank you for your
Michael,
analogy. I think it hit home.
Where do they DM you? What's your
Oh.
name? Where do they DM you? It's going on podcast, so we got to let them know.
Yeah, no, important information there. Thank you. Just DM me into the find the DM. Yeah, it's just Michael Biseglia on LinkedIn. You can hit me up there. Feel free to send it that way, and I'll check it. And would love to have you,
awesome.
Host, or even if you don't want to host, you just have an idea that you want shared. Both are great, so please do that. Takeaway for me, just what Stover had mentioned. I'm going to try to use that, and I'm going to try to put that in my daily life of thinking about what can drop, and it'll be okay.
Awesome, appreciate it, Michael. Thank you, Gavin. Go for it.
Yeah, I'm going to take this from something someone told me at my last gig. There's no such thing as a podcast emergency. So as much as those balls can all be glass and break, stay prioritized, stay organized, keep things in line, but put things in perspective. Unless you are a fire chief, it's most likely not an emergency that can't be fixed. So that's my takeaway.
That's a brilliant quote. There is no such thing as a that couldn't be more true. I love it. Thank you, Elizabeth. Go for it.
Yeah, sure. I was loving Jason Brooks's share about the fire chief and delegation. I was speaking to a friend of mine. He's been mentoring a young man some technology stuff. And he said, I got to the point where I realized I needed to let him fail a little bit so that not try to micromanage, because then he started to take ownership of the thing I delegated to him rather than him constantly coming to me because, he has the answers. And so he said that realization that if I don't figure this out, it's my responsibility, it's now on me. So the idea of passing it on, but also giving people that space and not like cutting, like somebody else was talking about, that not just shutting them down because they didn't do it right that time, but really instilling in that that idea of they take ownership of it now. And so anyway, I thought that was a great share. Back to you, Sean.
Awesome. Thank you, Elizabeth. Stover, are you multitasking? Stover multitasking. Jason Berkowitz, go for
it. Jason Brooks, I think I'm going to give another highlight to that. The fire chief. And I believe Elizabeth, he was the one that also said, right, that I'm the only one that can do this, when not remembering that actually you messed it up a little bit too. So I'm going to have fun sharing that analogy, Jason E. Brooks, with my friend David Krause, who's working with a couple people right now. There you go.
Awesome. Thank you, Jason Berkowitz. Appreciate it. Lots of Jasons. Dean LeBay.
Homework. If you've not listened to the digital hospitality podcast with Daniel Estrada from 86 Repair, if you're in the restaurant industry, ownership, independent or small business or any type of restaurant, take a listen to it. It's very informative. Thanks for sharing it. Thanks.
You got it. Thanks, Dean. Yeah, Daniel Estrada, 86 Repairs. We don't talk about repairs and maintenance because as restaurants, we tend to be reactive and not proactive, but what they're doing is really cool. And we highly suggest you check out that episode. Thank you, Dean. Richard Liverman, takeaway homework assignment.
Yeah, great discussion. Just want to add on something that my first director of marketing told me. He said, Rich, we're not landing planes, which I think is similar to that podcast emergency. We're not landing planes. And I think the whole idea of multitasking and being present, you know what, I'm a work in progress. But the only way to get better is to work.
Beautiful. Thank you, Richard. Laura Wilbur, takeaway homework assignment.
Oh my gosh, I have so many. But one thought, something a sales manager told me once when I was feeling overwhelmed about all of the tasks I needed to do, and he just said, keep it simple, stay close to the money. So when you're in business thinking about what are the glass balls, prioritize by what's closest to closing what's important to your business as far as, if this ball drops, the customer might go away. It makes it really easy to prioritize that way for business. And Jason Brooks, thank you for a lot of the things that you shared today. One of them is that I'm going to work on is figuring out what can I delegate. Can I consider hiring a virtual assistant? Because I think part of, as I said earlier, the reason that I try to multitask sometimes for tasks that I don't enjoy is just to avoid being bored. So there's got to be some tasks that I consider boring that I can delegate. So thanks everyone for your contribution
Don't
today.
be boring, Laura. You're not boring.
I'm working on it.
Richard would not be happy if anyone in this community was boring. So no, Laura,
Exactly.
the stay close to the money is, I mean, that there's so much wisdom in that when you're talking about business, and we tend to go down shiny object syndrome when the money's right in front of us, the client's right in front of us, retaining the client or closing the deal that's right in front of us. That's very powerful.
I love that. I'm going to write it on a Post-it and put it right next to my stand-up desk just to remind myself. So thank you.
Keep it simple. Stay close to the money. Thank you for sharing that. Chad Horn, go for it.
I too have to acknowledge Jason and what you shared regarding delegation. That was easily the thing I will remember the most and strongest from this. I've gotten out of the habit of delegation of previous roles, situations. I've done that and I've been comfortable, but I think it's also a muscle that needs to be worked. And so while I'm not viewing myself as like, there's all this stuff I need to delegate, but we're making plans where that will be necessary. So for a homework assignment for me, it's like write down the first things that I plan on delegating and what that's going to look like. Otherwise, what will happen? It'll be it'll happen too late.
Awesome. Thank you, Chad. Appreciate it. Mercedes, tip, takeaway, homework assignment.
Oh my gosh, this was such a good conversation. So I think I'm gonna take away with prioritize, strategize, and systematize everything to make it easier to multitask.
There it is. Thank you, Mercedes. Jason E. Brooks. Tip, takeaway, homework.
Oh man, takeaway first, Moneyball, sticking close to the money. Laura, love that. And again, like Sean said, shiny squirrel, we can be so close to closing this deal, that deal, or improving a system to improve cash flow. And this shiny little squirrel runs across the lawn and we are just chasing that thing tail up. So, sticking close to the money. Second thing, the guardrails while multitasking, trying not to spread too thin is the second takeaway. But the tip, I actually have a how to delegate template, and it actually walks anyone through. It doesn't matter what industry that you are in. It walks you through how to choose or write down your task daily, weekly, monthly, and to put a priority by it for whether you're the only one that can do it because you are the only one that has access to it, or if there's a manager that can do it that also has access to do that thing, or if there's a solid team member that can do it. Then it kind of gives you the visual of things that only you can do, something another manager can do, and something that a strong team member can do. And then it helps you to break down by priority. Something that is urgent has to get done. It affects the business and the customer if it doesn't get done on time. And then it then walks through second priority and third priority. So send me a message. You can email me at jbrooks@jasonebrooks.com or send me a message on LinkedIn. Put in delegate template. I will send that to you. There's no charge. There's no hook. There's no sinker. And you can use that to try to delegate better.
Jason, appreciate it. Stover, are you still with us? You want to share before we wrap the room? Michael, go ahead. What's your takeaway homework assignment?
The big thing is, follow the science. If the science is literally telling us that we as humans can't multitask, don't trick yourself. Realize that sometime you will have to do multiple things, and other times you should not. If it's going to endanger yourself, the health of others, or get your work and make your work ineffective and inferior, then it's probably best to focus for, even if it's just for an hour. So that's my advice.
Awesome. And Michael, what's the topic for Friday?
For Friday, best morning routine practices.
Best morning routine practices. If you guys are listening, thank you guys down below. Mark, Pamela, Michael Beck, Hildy Isaacs, Earl Chavez. We appreciate you. Anybody that's listening on the digital hospitality feed, thank you. Please share this room. We do repurpose these rooms. We publish them on digital hospitality. We want more people, more voices in this community up on stage, sharing their experience, sharing their stories, and being a part of this amazing community. Thank you all. Michael, Gavin, Elizabeth, Stover, Jason, Richard, Laura, Chad, Mercedes, Jason, Dean LeBay, and everybody that joined us. Thank you. We will see you Wednesday, 10 a.m. Pacific time. Cali Barbecue Media. Find the links. You can reach out to me, but stay curious, get involved. Don't be afraid to ask for help. We appreciate you guys. Thank you. Great room.